The analogy that really put me over the edge was the story of the starfish and the boy walking along the beach and throwing starfish back into the water, and someone questions him, like, why are you bothering? There's hundreds of thousands of starfish here, and all you're doing is throwing a few back in. And then the boy picks up another one, throws it in the water, and says, well, it sure made a difference for that one.
We had 3 children. We have 2 boys and a daughter. And at that time, our youngest was 13. A lot of people ask us if this was something that was planned, and wasn't. We were done, and our church was reading the book Purpose Driven Life. And so we read that book and just decided that there had to be something more out there, and I saw an adoption show on TV, and that's where it started. It was like I heard God say, that, and I went, no, we're done having children. And He's like, no, that is what I want you to do.
I, of course, was somewhat shocked, and it's not like I didn't have love for more children, but I felt we were done, and we had a wonderful family. But clearly God was telling us a different story and giving us different directions. And the analogy that I've always used is I had no problem with the financial commitments that would need to be made and that type of thing, but I thought you could put that money to work in the country that these children would be coming from, and to me that seemed like a good solution. And then I only had to put my toe in the water, not get totally immersed. After we had the referral as to who the girls were, 6 months before we were able to bring them home, we went there for a visit, and we took our biological daughter along with us. So she was 12, 13 at the time. And so we went to Haiti, met the girls, spent a week with them at a hotel in Port-au-Prince, and got to know them a little bit. And of course then we had the difficult task of giving them back to the orphanage and going home and waiting for paperwork to be completed. So that's what we did. 6 months later, as Karen said, our files moved along quite quickly, relatively speaking. And so on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, obviously, they came home, which was 2008. And when we got back to Winnipeg, however, I got into the van to drive back home to Winkler. The oldest of the 2 just started screaming and screamed all the way home. That has, since then, she told us what she thought we were doing was taking her back to Haiti. And but of course they didn't speak any English, so communication was clearly a problem.
Well, I learned about 80 Creole words, which was their language, which was enough to communicate. It was hard. They were scared. But I put them in front of Treehouse TV shows, and I just let them watch a lot of TV because we needed them to learn English so we could move through all the fears, and they picked it up very fast. They would be scared and not be able to communicate, and for example, the oldest one would go in her bedroom and throw all her clothes out of her drawer, just out of frustration. She did that for the first 6 months quite a few times. We just let her do it. I mean, how would we feel if we were in Haiti and we were mad and we couldn't talk to anybody? So there were things like that, but we went to a seminar, we were prepared, but getting 2 children at once is hard because they both want you all the time, nonstop.
One of the things that was probably easier because there was 2 was they had each other and they could speak Creole to each other. And the oldest of the 2 that we adopted, she was sort of a mothering figure to Yolan, the younger one. So that could continue. So I think in some ways that made it easier for them to be able to adjust.
5 and 3. And so Farrah started school that fall.
Well, I think the main avenue at that point was obviously church, which was very accepting and embracing. But then the next step, of course, is our school system, and we have a great school system here. That was one of our concerns, bringing, as we call, chocolate children into the community. It's very different now, 10 years later. But at that time, maybe there was one other child of that color in the school, so that was a concern for us. And we talked about it with the principal, and part of it is, as Karen said, we don't want to look for trouble. They're just spoiled Canadian kids, just like the rest of ours, and so the school system was great and very accepting, and they transitioned well that way. Well, it's clearly a challenge. We were very young parents first time around, and so it's interesting because at that point we ended up hanging around our friendship group were older people than us for a lot of the time because it's often based on how old your kids are. And so now we were at the opposite end of the spectrum. Here we were the old parents with a younger group. But that's just the way it was, and it's and is, and that's good. For our biological children, their level of acceptance and embracement of this process is just phenomenal, and they have been helped along with the whole process. So in some ways they act like very older siblings or almost parents, so it's worked out very well for us. This April we had the opportunity to return to Haiti, which is the first time since we brought the girls home. I went with the same son that I went down with to pick the girls up. We went on a mission trip with a group from the United States and went back to the orphanage, and so we wanted to see how things were going in the orphanage, but also help out. There were some building projects and so forth that we worked on, and so we went down for 10 days, and once we had solidified that we were going, we were able to arrange to meet the girls' birth mom, and so that was pretty intense. So we went down. We didn't know exactly how many sisters they had, and they have 3 biological sisters who are still in Haiti, two of which we were able to meet and spent an afternoon with them and see how they are doing. They have a 1-year-old niece that is there as well. So it was pretty special. So the 2 of us went, worked at the orphanage. We spent half day meeting their mom and their sisters, and able to start to establish a relationship with them. Of course, there was the apprehension of opening that door, and sometimes you open a door that you can't close again. And but as it's turned out, 6 months later or 8 months later, it's been a very, very positive experience, and we're able to provide some assistance to the girls' birth family as well. Communication obviously is still an issue because she only speaks Creole, so we had an interpreter. But what we did is Karen had prepared a photo album of the 9 years that the girls have been here, and so we went through that with them, and you could just see the love of a mother as she looked at the pictures that for these girls that she had given up.
One thing that she did share was that her friends, she lived in a little village, had said, are you sure you want to give these girls up? Because you will never see them again. And so she knew that, but she couldn't feed them, and they would die. And so couldn't believe that here she was proving them wrong, that she had this photo album book and was seeing their past 9 years. And so when they did say goodbye, Grant had said, "Is there anything we can do for you?" And she said, "Would you please just bring them sometime to meet me?" So when the girls are ready, and they're not quite ready yet, we will definitely do that.
The one thing that I said when I finally got convinced that we were going to go through this process, I said, if there's only one result out of all of this, other than saving 2 children, which is huge in itself, but one other one that the community can benefit is that that we would have an adoption process that could inspire someone else to go through the same process. And there's a lot of roadblocks and lots of reasons not to do it. But that was one of our goals at the start, that we would have that image. Being able to go back and meet the girl's family is far beyond what I ever thought as we looked at the purpose-driven life. But clearly, God has a much bigger picture than we do. And so it's interesting how that has all come around. By meeting her, one other thing that we should say is that the couple that runs the orphanage that the girls came from, Karen has kept in close email contact with the lady, and she's the one that was able to facilitate all of this. So it was, again, special circumstances that allowed this to be able to happen. And it continues today. We've been able to provide, the family lived in the most dangerous area of Port-au-Prince. Although all of it's dangerous, this is the most dangerous area. And there was a lot of violence. When we went there, I wanted to be able to go and see that area, and they said, "There's not a chance we're going to take you in there because you won't come out." And so we knew that our story isn't over yet. And so we through the orphanage, were able to arrange alternate accommodations for the family, and so have been able to get them moved into an apartment in a safer area of Port-au-Prince, and try to get them to the point that they can become self-sufficient.
I didn't meet her, but instantly they are our family. We call them our Haitian family. So there's such a connection with her, and I haven't even met her yet. And I continue to send pictures and have conversations with her through the lady that runs the orphanage. She can get messages to her if I need to say something to her. So it has been amazing. And I think the story will go on because even our adult children now talk of adopting. So I'm not sure where this story will end. Maybe it will just go on forever.